When people talk about Hollywood's golden age, they talk about glamour. They remember the gowns, the flashbulbs, the red carpets glowing beneath studio spotlights. They remember the smiles. Perfect, permanent, untouchable. But behind those polished photographs lived a darker truth. An industry powered not just by talent, but by ambition, rivalry, fear, and sometimes cruelty. And according to one of its biggest stars, the worst of it was carefully hidden. His name was BURT Lancaster, the acrobat-turned-actor with piercing blue eyes and a reputation for integrity. In his final years, Lancaster reportedly began documenting what he had witnessed during decades inside Hollywood's inner circle. He allegedly compiled a private manuscript he called The Most Evil of Them All, a list of powerful names he believed had caused real damage behind the scenes. Whether the manuscript still exists is unknown, but the stories surrounding it remain chilling. The man who saw behind the curtain. Born November 2, 1913, in Manhattan, Lancaster grew up tough in East Harlem. Before Hollywood, he was a circus acrobat, performing dangerous stunts with childhood friend Nick Cravat. Balance, timing, control. Those skills would later define his screen presence. After serving in World War II, fate intervened. A chance audition landed him a role in the 1946 noir classic The Killers, launching him to instant stardom. Within years, he was headlining films like From Here to Eternity and Judgment at Nuremberg. But Lancaster wasn't just an actor. He co-founded an independent production company, challenged studio control, marched with civil rights leaders, and openly criticized injustice in Hollywood. To many, he represented moral courage in an industry built on illusion. Yet by the 1970s, as the golden age faded, Lancaster had grown disillusioned. He had seen too much, the backroom deals, the intimidation, the power plays. And that's when he allegedly began writing. Friends turned foes. One of the most shocking names said to appear in his manuscript was Kirk Douglas, his longtime co-star in Gunfight at the OK Corral and 7 Days in May. To the public, Douglas was bold and fearless, the man who helped bring Spartacus to life. But Lancaster reportedly viewed him as ruthlessly ambitious. He allegedly accused Douglas of undermining rivals and manipulating studio politics to stay on top. Their celebrated partnership, insiders claimed, eventually curdled into distrust. Then there was Mickey Rooney, once America's beloved boy next door. Lancaster supposedly described him as charming on camera but harsh toward extras and young actresses behind it. 8 marriages, volatile behavior. To Lancaster, it wasn't coincidence but pattern. The women behind the spotlight. Lancaster's alleged list didn't spare Hollywood's leading ladies. He reportedly described Elizabeth Taylor as a force of chaos during the filming of Cleopatra, claiming her personal dramas often overshadowed production itself. He was said to have viewed Natalie Wood as emotionally strategic, someone who understood how to use vulnerability as influence. Her tragic death in 1981 haunted Hollywood, and Lancaster allegedly saw it as symbolic of the industry's darker undercurrents. And then there was Marilyn Monroe, whom he supposedly called the angel of addiction. During Some Like It Hot, Monroe's lateness and struggles were legendary. Lancaster reportedly believed Hollywood both created and consumed her fragility. America's moral icons, or so it seemed. Perhaps most shocking were the men long considered Hollywood's moral compass. Spencer Tracy was revered for depth and discipline. Yet Lancaster allegedly described explosive temper and alcoholism that left crews walking on eggshells. James Stewart, beloved for It's a Wonderful Life, was said, in Lancaster's telling, to guard his wholesome image carefully while quietly judging colleagues behind the scenes. Adventure icon Errol Flynn, star of The Adventures of Robin Hood, was reportedly portrayed as reckless and shielded by fame despite mounting scandals. And crooner Bing Crosby, voice of White Christmas, was later accused by his own son Gary of harsh discipline at home, claims that echoed whispers Lancaster allegedly documented. Power, control, and cold hearts. Lancaster's reported writings extended to Henry Fonda, the dignified juror of 12 Angry Men. Behind the stoicism, Lancaster supposedly saw emotional distance that deeply affected Fonda's children, including Jane Fonda. He also allegedly described Joan Crawford as ruling through fear, claims later echoed in her daughter's memoir Mommy Dearest. And perhaps most surprising of all, Lancaster reportedly questioned the iron control of Lucille Ball, the genius behind I Love Lucy. While audiences saw laughter, Lancaster allegedly saw relentless perfectionism and corporate dominance at her studio. The final silence. In the 1980s, Lancaster's health declined. Heart surgery. Then a devastating stroke in 1990 that robbed him of speech. The man whose voice once thundered across cinema screens was left in silence. He died on October 20, 1994, at age 80. The manuscript was never published. If it exists, it remains hidden, perhaps locked away in a private archive, perhaps destroyed, perhaps waiting. Were these reflections truth? Exaggeration? The bitterness of a man watching his era fade? Or was Lancaster offering a confession not just about others, but about an entire system built on illusion? Hollywood's golden age gave us legends. But legends are still human. And sometimes, the brightest lights cast the darkest shadows. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe BURT Lancaster was exposing uncomfortable truths, or settling old scores? Which name on that alleged list shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're fascinated by the untold rivalries, betrayals, and secrets of classic cinema, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Classic Hollywood Feuds, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into Hollywood's hidden past. Because behind every legend, there's a story they didn't want you to hear.